Hello. Monday the 14th of February. So how are you? Welcome in. We're going to do some of our regular card pull and our thoughts for the week ahead. My phone is just notifying me that I'm not live. Let me just turn these things off. Okay, how are you? How's your week been since we last checked in last week? Hopefully you were able to catch the video last week, or if you don't have time to watch the video, hopefully you managed to catch the blog or listen to the podcast. I'm trying to find different ways of bringing you this content because I'm aware that not everybody likes to watch videos. So going forward, there will be a video here on Facebook. There will also be a video. This video will be uploaded to YouTube. It will also be a blog post will be created for it that you'll find on the website, and I put a podcast of the audio up onto SoundCloud for you. So hopefully that will help you consume this content in a way that's right for you. So welcome in. Today I am going to use the gorgeous Dreams of Gaia Tarot. The artwork in this tarot deck is absolutely stunning. So beautiful. Really lovely. The deck is this is the gorgeous box and everything that it comes in. Such a lovely some of the pictures on the back for you as well. So really lovely lovely deck. So what have we this week? So the Dreams of Gaia Tarot deck, the cards that have come up this week. The Self card. So the Self card is from the major arcana in this Dreams of Gaia deck. Now this deck is slightly different than a traditional tarot deck in that it's broken into different segments, and this particular card comes from the reasons for being card. And in this deck there are 8 reasons for being. So there are knowledge, wisdom, healing, love, union, self, abundance and destiny. So the Self card is the 6th reason for being. And it's a very lovely card. Obviously if you're listening to this on the pod, you'll not see the card, but you can maybe Google it afterwards. The card number 14 in the major arcana of the Dreams of Gaia deck, the Self card. This card really asks you to look at who are you? Who are you? What do other people see when you show up? What masks are you wearing? How many personas do you have? How many masks do you wear? Because we all have various different personas. We have, we have our work face, we have our home face, we have the face that our kids see or our family see, we have the face that, strangers see. We have all these different personas, and it's not a bad thing. But at the same time, sometimes we can get lost in being these other people. We need to have a personality. We need to have an ego as such in order to get through this physical 3-dimensional world that we live in. There's an awful lot of ego bashing goes on in spiritual circles, and I don't like that, because the personality, the ego, is required. It is the face of your soul. The problem arises when the face of your soul, the personality, is away over here and your soul is away over here, completely out of alignment, and the two aren't meeting together. So this card asks you to bring your soul and your personality into alignment so that you really know who you are. And that can be very difficult, because if you have been constantly being someone else, if you have always been saying yes to other people, people pleasing, if you have been allowing yourself to be labelled in certain ways and to have certain beliefs imposed upon you, and that you are following other people's paths rather than your own, then it can be very difficult to know exactly who you are and what it is you want out of life. And this requires quite a lot of courage to take an honest look and sit with yourself and understand who you really are. What really makes you tick? What do you like to do? What makes your heart sing? These are all questions that I work through in the Intuitive Life Design coaching program, and you're more than welcome to join that anytime. Jump in, let's work together and figure this stuff out. Because this self card is really, really about your journey of undoing, your journey of unmessing up with yourself. I don't want to use bad swearing words today because I'm trying to give this out to whoever needs to hear it. So, but you'll have heard it, the yourself movement, completely. It's time to understand that you do not need to be who people have told you to be. You need to be yourself. So, what masks do you wear? What journey of undoing and unlearning do you need to do in order to be and become the person that you are and the person that you want to be, in order to live the life that you want? Finding your center, finding your fulfillment, finding your peace and your acceptance of yourself. So that's what this card's all about. So does that speak to you? Let me know in the comments, if you are struggling with knowing who you really are and what yourself is all about. Your eternal, unchanging self underneath it all. Okay? We put labels on ourselves all the time, and then we limit ourselves into falling within that little label. What if you took the label off? It's a little bit like the concept of formlessness that I talk about in my shamanic classes with my students, where quite often people put form onto spirit, and then that really limits the power. Whereas when we take our labels off and we don't put form on ourselves and we actually embrace our full potential and the majesty of our own power, we can create whatever we want. But it starts with really knowing who you are and finding that alignment within yourself. So let me know in the comments if that's something that you struggle with. Do you know who you are and what you want? Or is that something that's quite difficult for you? Have you been constantly been indoctrinated into someone else's way of life and have just gone with the flow with them, rather than followed them like sheep, rather than following yourself and following your own heart's guidance? And the second card then that came up follows on with this. This is the One of Water card in this deck, and it depicts a water dragon here, and it's a very, very lovely card. You can see the heart chakra is really glowing here and is all opened up and fading up into the throat. Beautiful artwork on these cards as always. Very much about your heart opening. So as you start to learn who you are and learn what makes you tick, you start to really develop a sense of stepping into the flow and feeling safe enough to open your heart. Quite often when we are feeling a little bit frightened and we're feeling a little bit fearful, we close off and we try and protect ourselves. But actually, there's so much more protection and love and healing energy that can come from our hearts if we open up and we dare to follow our hearts. We dare to step into the flow of life. This is a water card. Water is typically emotions, relationships, quite appropriate for Valentine's Day today. New emotional beginnings, taking that leap of faith, following your heart, all those things. Stop fighting your feelings. Deep down inside, you know exactly what it is you really want to do. So what's holding you back? Tune into your heart. Come out of your head. Place your hands over your heart and take 3 deep breaths into your heart center and ask yourself what it is that you know you need to do. And your heart will tell you, and it will not guide you wrong. And the third card that's come up today then is the 11 of Water, which is the Emotion and Intellect card. And this card is very, very much about understanding the need for the balance, to balance the head and the heart, to balance that emotion and that intellect, to understand, are you acting out of love or are you acting out of fear? What's going on with you? They're two sides of the same coin. We need both. Okay, because we need to have a healthy dose of fear sometimes to stop us doing stupid things like sticking our hands in a fire and, running out into traffic. But at the same time, we don't want fear to paralyze us. you know, depending on how people look at things may also give you an insight into this. You know, someone might leave a relationship. You might leave a relationship, and someone might look at that and go, you left because you were afraid of getting hurt. And someone else might look at it and say, you left because you had enough self-love to honour yourself more. One is love, one is fear. Same sides, you know, two different sides of the same coin. But is there an imbalance? Are you living life predominantly fear-based? So are you, you know, allowing fear to dominate your life? Or are you allowing, you know, are you doing everything out of love and having no fear whatsoever? Which again isn't 100% healthy either, because we need both. We need to have the dose of both. Same as light and dark. You can't stay always in that toxic positivity of being in the light all the time. You also have to recognize the shadows. So the light and the dark, the love and the fear, the two things are both required. Life needs constant motion. It needs constant, there's a constant shift. Otherwise, if you imagine it like a seesaw, it needs to constantly go like that. Otherwise there's no movement, because otherwise if it's perfectly balanced, it's just static and it gets stuck. So life never remains completely still. There's always emotion. There should always be a way of give and take, light and dark, love and fear. So this card asks you to balance head and heart. Look at that honestly. You know, don't let fear be your dominant force. But at the same time, you need to have both. You need to honour your emotions. So whilst the middle card, the one of water, came up and said about stepping into the flow of life and honouring your heart, remember that the flow can lead you in lots of different ways. It can lead you into the rapids, and it can be all quite turbulent. It can lead you down a waterfall. It can lead you down a gentle stream. But the secret is to go with the flow and let it carry you, rather than trying to paddle upstream and trying to, you know, make a square peg fit a round hole. Okay, so it's about stepping into the intuitive awareness of your heart. But all this ties back into the first card, which is if you need to know yourself. Because if you don't know yourself and know what makes your heart sing, then you might find it very difficult to listen to the guidance of your heart and to trust and honour that guidance as it comes through for you. So hopefully this message has given you a little bit of something to think about this week. Let me know, do you know who you are and what makes you tick, or do you struggle with it? Are you happy to step into the flow of life and trust your heart and stop second guessing yourself and just go with it and step into the flow? And are you able to balance your head and heart so that, you know, you allow your rational mind the space to tell you what it needs to do, but you also honour the intuitive guidance of your heart, so that you're balancing love and fear and moving forward in your life in a way that's completely in alignment with you and what it is that you want. So let me know in the comments, or let me know if you're catching this in the podcast later or in the blog later on. Leave me a wee comment there too, and hopefully it has resonated with you, and I'll check in with you again next week, as always, Mondays at 1 o'clock. So see you then.